Hi and welcome. Today I will make a sort of an unboxing and introductory review of two folding pocket or EDC knives, as Americans like those acronyms everyday carry. So we have model Ontario RAT Model 2 or Randall's Adventure Training. So that is the first one, and we have the other model that is Kizer Sheepdog model. This is the model. This one has a normal blade shape with a drop point, not that sheep foot or however you call it. So I will start by explaining why I bothered to order and buy these knives. So I made a video showing my knife collection, and in that video I explained that for camping this is the best thing for me when it comes to carrying multi-tools, and it does have a blade, but that blade is relatively short. Let me take a ruler here, so just under 6 centimeters and relatively small, and it does not lock. It doesn't have a positive lock, just some pressure, but that does not work very reliably if you're not cutting very carefully. So that is the downside, and it's very difficult to clean because there is no opening. It's closed at the back, so I really don't like that. And so for camping I don't like using this knife for anything. I use other tools, but when I need a knife, this is it usually. This is super practical, super easy to clean, super light, but it is a bit bulky, as you can see. So the blade here is decent size, just under 10 centimeters, and just it's under 3 millimeters thick, so it slices nicely. And for the city or civilization use, I carry this Leatherman multi-tool, and it too has a blade that cannot be easily cleaned because this is all inside, this is all closed. And so while the blade is a little bit larger compared to the Swiss Army knife, this model at least, and it does lock, so this would be pretty useful. But for me, the problem with cleaning, I'll show the back side. Here it's completely closed, the part where the blade goes, so it's safe, but it's a dirt compartment. So for using it for food and things like that, or for anything, and then cleaning, it's a bit more of a hassle, and it's also a bit it's asymmetrical and a bit bulkier and heavier than it needs to be when we're talking about just this size of knife. So for sharpening it, it's a bit more cumbersome and takes slightly more mental effort to keep the angle right and to do a proper job sharpening this. So again, another knife that I'm not really comfortable using. And so for camping I'm usually carrying backpack and more things, and so carrying these two is not a problem. But for city stuff, this is not practical to add to stuff, and this is not ideal. And that is why I decided to maybe see about getting a normal folding blade that has open back and that can easily be cleaned. So here we are after a huge, very long introduction. We'll get back to these later. And now let's start by opening this knife. You can see all the specifications here. I hope you can read them. I may put them in the video's description or open a topic on my forum. So basically this is the stainless steel version, the AUS 8 blade, which is preferred. All these knives are stainless steel because I sweat a lot, and there's moisture, and there is a lot of onions and a lot of lemons in things that we cook to eat. So it has a bag, and it has inside this thing that you can use to calm your nerves. Yeah, it pops, and just a knife. So nothing fancy. The price that this comes at is $42 in the USA and $75 in Germany. I want to thank my Patreon supporters who, thanks to whose donations I could buy both of these to compare and test. And so when we look at this knife, this is what you get for packaging, and this is the knife. Let me open it. It has the lock is the liner lock, so that's how you disengage it. It has opening these studs on both sides, and you can put the clip wherever you want, on this side, and also here, 2 places to mount the clip. What I've noticed is that the clip is on this side, it's high up, so it will not be visible if you put it in your pocket. Let's try to simulate that without tearing anything. So when you put it in your pocket, it's not that much, and this place will leave a bit of knife more protruding. I don't like the black color, it's not highly visible as this. So, but if you want to carry it in the city and not cause attention and keep it in your pocket, then it may be a good idea. But I wish that I could source this in orange or something else, but that was not possible. The blade has washers that are of good quality. I think I wrote it down here. It's got no, I forgot to write it down here, but it's not just ordinary plastic washers. They are some sort of metal also, so they should be durable, and it slides very, very smoothly and easily, and it is very simple mechanism. So just this folding thing, and why I wanted to use this light. So back side is completely open, as you can see, hopefully. That's the easiest thing to clean, but it has on this side this is cut. Let me try to show it on camera. So you can see that I hope you can see inside. Let me take something pointy. So here we have a slight twist, like a turned cut, not just a straight line that stops abruptly, but they made something that looks like this. Let me try to draw it. They did not just cut it out like this so that you have one piece and the other piece, but they made the cut be like this so that you have a relief system before this spring that locks the blade to stop it from fatigue, from material fatigue breaking and the crack spreading further. And that is mechanics 101. But it looks like a very promising, durable design, because I don't see this spring wearing out and breaking from fatigue in decades of use. It's not something that I expect to just stop working. And for this size of the handle and the blade and the knife, it's more than strong enough to keep it locked. You are not going to do anything crazy with this, hopefully. So it looks like a very no-nonsense durable design, like Volkswagen Golf 2 diesel, so practically indestructible. Now, that's the first model. The second knife that I bought for comparison, I hope that this will help at least one person. This is the model, very long name, and here is also the model number and name, because they have many variations of this knife. And it cost, let me see the price in Germany. It costs $70 in the United States, as opposed to just over $40 for the Ontario Red, and now almost $100 in Germany. So as opposed to around $70 for the Ontario Red. So the absolute difference is about $25, but in the US prices, that's about ends up about 50% more expensive. And now let's compare them. So we have this. This is the box for the Ontario Red, and here they made it look like a boutique. I already opened this to give it a look, but you have this opening, and then you have this. It's a nice box, like perfumes for women. And this is the knife inside. So I take this, and they made this also so that you can close it with that mechanism. You can open and close it. And before I take the knife out, I want to show you this. So we have some, like a cloth, okay? And here we have some user manual or some information linked to the site, so not really a user manual. Okay, we have this piece of advertising marketing, which is probably a good idea. Not my, how to say, nothing that I care about for knife, but yeah, sure. And all this is of course something you pay for. And we have extra screws and extra springs. This is what the springs look like, and I will get back to that later. But it is uber nice that they put this in. I'll explain why that's important and why I'm always a pessimist, but here too. So now let's finally take it out. That's what she said. Okay. Here it is. One of the main reasons why I bought this knife is because it looks like a fancier version of this. It's very similar in all other accounts, but slightly more expensive and maybe arguably less robust. So let's start with that. I love this coloring, this gold thumb opener on both sides, and I will open it now to show you what it looks like. So it has the blade that is coated, but not just paint, that is PVD coating, and I have somewhere written down what it is. Either way, it should be durable. So let's show them side by side. So very similar blade length, the usable blade length of about 7 centimeters or under 3 inches. So for those on the wrong side of the pond. So here it is, and also here. Let's see how you can see it more easily. Something like that. So not super thick, but a bit thicker than my Baco or Morakniv, whichever version you get, companion. So a bit thicker. This is close to 3 millimeters, if not exactly 3 millimeters on both knives. So very similar blade, but there are some slight differences in design and everything, and I will walk you through that now. First thing, at the factory the clips are opposite, as you can see. So, and what I will do is I will remove these nuts and put these bolts and move this over here to have the same clipping system and not have a clip near the place where I am opening and closing this. I'm not a fan of that. For carrying in your pocket, each version has its pros and cons and its personal preference, but this one does not allow you to make this orientation. So Kizer only lets you, or Kizer, German, only lets you put this on the opposite side for the left-handed carry, but that's it. Now for the material, this is plastic, so pretty robust and durable, and this is some other material that is called Richlite. I'm not joking. In chocolate glacier color. So they really did what they can to make this sound more expensive. It's nicer when your hands are wet. It grips a bit better, the surface itself. This one has serrations, but this one is still a bit grippier. So I like that. The handle, however, when you open it, this one has 4 places where this is held in place, so it's very sturdy, especially for this size of knife and what you will do with this blade. But here we have one here place where this is held together with this little bolt, and 2 bolts, one bolt here, and this is not really something structural or minimum, I'm not sure. But at the very end, very opposite end, so this whole midsection is unsupported. And let me see if I can show you how this flexes. Can you see the flex? So that, again, this is a small knife, so I don't expect to be doing crazy things with it, but it doesn't look too promising. The weight difference is just a few grams. This one is about 78, 79. This is about 73 when I measured. So very, very small difference in weight, and they could have added a few more bolts just in case. Another downside, the locking mechanism itself is stronger when it works, because you have this whole thing going through all the way. And in order for this to close, because it catches onto it. Let me show you. So this part, this little part here catches onto it, and once it's locked, you cannot close it. In order to close, you need to completely break this from the scales. So in theory, that's a stronger mechanism. But when the spring that I showed you, the spare springs, when that breaks, there's nothing preventing this from moving backwards as soon as you release any pressure trying to close this. So you can, when those springs break, you will no longer have a blade that is locked. So that is the downside. The upside is that this is super smooth and more practical than working this lock, especially if you are left-handed. So for left-handed people, it's more practical. And another peculiarity here is that it has bearings that are ceramic, which is not, they will not be rusting, but this spins and moves even a lot more smoothly than this. But when dirt and sand and everything piles up, I think that simple washers will be more easy to clean and less likely to catch things than the nice bearings, super small. So that is the downside. In terms of durability, I took this screen, how do you say, this printing. So this is what the scales inside of this look when you open it. Remove the scales and just leave the thin, relatively thin liner. This is super light. So they have that spring that catches into one of these 5 holes so that you can adjust how much spring tension there is to make it more easy or more difficult to open. But it's factory set at the middle as far as I could see. But the problem is that when these springs break, you are in trouble. So that does not look like something that will last for generations. This simple liner, on the other hand, it does look like it will. So that's the difference. That's the main difference. And I will see how these two fare in practice. But as I said, they have some minor differences right from the start. Now, what I want to do is to flip this to the other side to make them symmetrical, and I want to weigh how much these weigh against this package, just out of curiosity. Excuse me. Sorry about the interruption. Now to just check the weight, I'm curious. So if I take this and weight, what are we coming? 105 grams. So this is super light for the size of the knife you have and super practical, but it is too bulky. So for carrying it every day, I was looking for something smaller, and this is not heavier, fortunately, at least that. So I'm measuring 79 grams. And this one, the Kizer, is 73 grams, so a bit lighter. And the blade material, this one should be a bit more rust resistant. It's Nitro-V, super name. And this is the AUS 8, so not bad, should be easy to sharpen, but a bit less rust resistant than this. And this is the coated black. I never had a knife that's coated with black, so I will see how it fares in practice. And those are some of the main differences. And now I will just take the time to replace this, to put it on the opposite side. So when doing this, these are very small Torx 6, I believe, nuts, bolts, and this is a bit larger. This should be 8 or similar, but we will check that. So to avoid stripping anything and damaging, it's best to use decent quality tools. I have a review of this tool, so this is what I will try to use. And my main complaint about this is this tool is that you cannot see what the sizes are. It's very difficult to see. So either way, I will start with a bit larger than I believe would fit, to just confirm it doesn't fit. So I don't want to start with a size smaller. That would create problems. So this should be 6 Torx. It is. So I will use that. These are all the same bolts as far as I can tell, so yes, it fits like a glove. So I need to unscrew these 3. So for comparison, just to make it another difference between these 2 blades, but the carrying system. So this one is designed to sit in your right hand pocket like this, and this one is the opposite. So not like this, but complete opposite. So this goes in the back and the tip is up. So slight difference in orientation, but in this case it's almost completely inside the pocket, but if I flip this, it will be sitting a bit higher. We'll show that. So let's try to unscrew this. This one goes easily. This one goes easily. This one goes with this. So I got all the 3 bolts out, and I can try to put this here. Before I mount the bolts, I will put some thread locker. This came with some thread locker from the factory, as you can see here, the blue marks. And this, I have a video explaining the thread lockers. This medium strength blue thread locker will not keep these bolts difficult to unscrew. It will just prevent them from loosening by themselves from vibrations. And let me see. Okay. So this is more than enough, quite generous. It will also prevent any galvanic corrosion. That is another benefit of this. So in this case, with very small fine threads and assembly, I do not want to use any anti-seize, but I will use in fact the thread locker as both keeping this safe and working as an anti-seize. So, and it should be easier if I see what I'm doing. That usually helps. Okay, I'm turning them anti-clockwise. I want to hear that click to know that the threads have aligned. And once I hear the click, there it is. There it is, I can start screwing it in. So these are very fine threads, so I don't want to risk cross-threading them. And I'm not going for some crazy torque here. This screwdriver is relatively small in diameter, so I'm just being very careful and getting this screwed in. Okay, this one looks tight enough. This one looks... I'm using my feel just for this, and I have no idea what the actual torque is that I used for this to get it as tight as I think it should be. So I don't want to bother with that, and that's it. And now we can compare. So now we have the same mechanism for both the attachments, but this one will be protruding a bit more when you put it inside your pocket. So let's just try to demonstrate that now. So you see how much this protrudes now? It's sitting higher. Okay, and let's see about this one. This is a bit nicer spring for me also. So everything about this knife, and it's completely hidden. So everything about this knife is very nice for me. And if you look at different, when I was preparing to make this video and when I was googling to see what kind of knives I should get and test, it really is a rabbit hole. I had no idea. And I have decades of experience with sharpening tools and knives and different kinds of steels and materials and everything. So it was not as new to me. But what was new to me was how passionate people are about every single peculiarity. But for the normal people who have other hobbies or other priorities and just want a tool that works for that, and I will refer to my video about my knife collections, where I say that for me those were just tools. I never considered those to be knives as knives. So if that makes any sense. So for just tools, I would say that something in this shape and with simple aligner lock and simple mechanism at reasonably decent price should be perfectly fine, and everything else is just if you have a lot of money and want to spend it. But I don't think that I will have problems with this knife. The only thing that may be a concern, and we'll see, would be rust resistance, but it is stainless, but not as stainless as, for example, this. But there are cheaper materials and steels and cheaper knives, so you don't have to buy the more expensive one. I'm not sure if this even counts as expensive in today's terms. Maybe the expensive knives are the ones that cost $200 or $300 or $1,000, depends on your budget. But for me, anything over $50 for a knife is not cheap, and anything over $30 is not cheap, and everything over 50 or 100 is definitely a bit on the expensive side. And I understand fully the different materials, manufacturers and everything, but as far as I can tell for now, it's this should get the job done. And I will make a follow-up video after I've used and abused both of these to see which one I like more. So these, while they are new bearings, are super nice. This one will not as easily, as smoothly go. I cannot show it in the camera, but it hasn't got any play or anything, but it's just a little bit less smooth than this. This one is just perhaps a little bit, it feels like it slides a bit better. I'm not sure how to, if that makes any sense, but that's the whole video. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters for their support. And I hope that follow-up videos when I've had about 6 months or year or 6 years with these will be a bit more useful. Like good wine, it becomes better with age. And I do plan to make some more cycling videos and other stuff as usual, but I wanted to make a video about this, and I also plan to make at least one more video about sharpening and blades in general. So not today, but I have some plans. So again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in some other video. Cheers, stay cool.